Welcome to this video on enhancing the employee experience through proactive service management. My name is David Pickering and I work in product marketing here at Ivanti. In this video we're going to walk through an entire employee experience, starting with the manager requesting new employee onboarding, through to working in the organisation's environment, and how Ivanti will provide an exceptional employee experience through the use of proactive service management. Let's start with the first of three scenarios. In this scenario, we're going to walk through how a request for onboarding a new employee is initiated, with seamless automation provided across the different lines of business across HR, IT, and facilities. Some HR organisations have a disjointed onboarding process, whether it's still requiring paper forms to be filled out, emailing HR, or sticky note reminders for the HR team to do tasks. There's a lot of room for error. Ivanti can help HR organisations digitally transform and streamline their processes within their departments as well as within other departments. Here we are in the self-service portal, and we're going to onboard our new employee. We're going to do that by going through to our service catalogue. And then we have all our HR requests within that service catalogue. So we're going to scroll down and just choose the new onboarding with assets. And this is the form that we're going to fill in for onboarding that new employee. So I'm going to fill in all this information and we'll walk through what the information is we want to collect. So I filled in all the details, first and last name, accounting is the team they're in, within the Department of Finance. And this information may come from Workday, so it may automatically get populated, or you might be entering it in manually as we are here. The type of employment, their start date, where are they located and do they need an office or a cubicle? And let's say they just need a cubicle. Do they need a computer? What type of computer? Do they need a mobile phone? What applications do they need access to? And then do we want business cards and corporate cards? And we request that, and that will go through to the HR team for processing. And we can always track how we're going against that process through the self-service portal to see where we are within the progress of resolving or having that defined for us. So I've seen how quickly it is to submit an onboarding request from the self-service portal. Now we're looking at this from the HR analyst or the HR manager who's receiving the requests and working on any requests or cases. They have a dashboard that's available for them to look at any requests that might be out there that comes into the system. They can see who it's assigned to, what open requests there are. But let's look at the onboarding requests that we have there. Now we can see the request that we just submitted, and we can click into that request and we can start to look at what's the information there. And we can see who it was requested for, and it's awaiting approval. And that approval will be from a department head or a manager, depending on your process of what you need to look at. Once it gets approved, it will go through the workflow process. So let's look at what happens once it gets approved. So now that our HR request has been approved by the appropriate team or department approver, we can now see the different tasks that are allocated across the organisation. So in this particular scenario, we have a facilities request for a new employee location setup. And when we look at that, it's got the details of that request. So in this case, the name of the person, the location, and whether it's a cubicle or office that needs to be set up. And in similar ways, we've got a request for business cards from an appropriate team within the organisation that handles business cards, and then mobile and asset requests for the different asset and mobile requests that we need to have in there. And that workflow, which is predefined, will determine what we get to see within the organisation, or what we get to work from a task side of things. So we can see the different requests that need to be performed to get that person on board and working within their organisation. Now, so we can see the facilities request has been assigned to a facilities member, and they might be someone working within the facilities team that's out in the organisation, since walking around the building, setting up cubicles, maintaining the facilities. So they may actually want to use the mobile phone or get that task request through their mobile phone to say, here's some work you need to do. Let's look at how facilities would onboard a new employee. So as a facilities worker, I might be using a mobile phone to keep track of my tasks, and I'll see a new task there that's popped into my inbox for a new employee location setup. I can see who it's for, where it's located, and what type of setup it needs to be. I can look at all the information relevant to me. I'll accept the task because I'm in the Colorado Springs office at this point in time. And once I've done the work, I can edit the actual task. I can add comments to say I've completed the work, and then I can mark that as complete. So let's go through and add a comment. So I'm adding in a comment. We've completed that, and I'll mark the task as complete. And that will get updated back in the originating record. We can see as we look at this request that has been updated by the facilities team. They've completed their work at setting up the cubicle as we saw using the mobile phone and been updated and told that it's complete. HR, who is managing this case, can also see any of the tasks that have been completed by anyone within the organisation that's been allocated a task, enabling that tracking from end to end for that particular individual. And just as importantly, the manager can see the status of that request as well and can go in and add any more details as we saw. We can see it's in progress, if there's been any additional information that's required, any details, but more importantly, knowing what the status is and whether it's been completed. Let's now take a look at our second scenario. Our new employee has been with the company a few weeks and are having performance issues with their laptop and unable to perform their duties as well as they would like. They go into the Ivanti Service Management Self-Service Portal and type in PC is slow. Automatically it returns results that might be relevant to what the employee is concerned about. They're going to click on the PC is slow criteria. It comes up with appropriate prompts, whether there's any solutions that might be available to them, should there be any, which there aren't. And then they're going to submit that to the service desk. And they can go and view that item at any time to see how that's been worked on. Now, under normal circumstances, IT would then reach out to the employee, set up a Microsoft Teams or remote control, and start to look at the performance issues. However, what's happened behind the scenes is we have automatically linked that to an Ivanti Neurons healing bot. And that healing bot is going to execute and resolve the problem without any IT involvement at all. Let's walk through that scenario. So our employee is sitting on their computer, working away as well as they can with that performance issue. And behind the scenes, the Neurons healing bot is starting to gather information around what is wrong with their computer. We can see on their device, they've got a request possible performance issue has been detected. So would they like that resolved? So we've clicked yes. What's happening now is it will look at more information. The bot will be processing this information, and then we get another request saying, right, we've reduced the priority. Is it still slow? And we're going to say, no, it's still slow. So we're going to continue going through some diagnostics to try and resolve the issue that's occurring at this point in time. So after a small period of time, we come back and say, we've done further optimization. Is it still an issue? We're going to answer, yes, we've fixed the issue, or no, we still have an issue. We're going to say, yes, it has helped, and we've got the issue resolved. We're working much better on our laptop now. And what happens is we now finish off that conversation with our end user, but more importantly, we close off the incident that they've created earlier. Now our end user can validate that the incident has been closed by looking at the incident through the self-service portal and see that it's been closed out, and they can look at any details that may be relevant to that particular incident. But all this has happened without any IT involvement. We've logged the incident through the self-service portal, we've automatically initiated an Ivanti Neurons bot, and we've automatically resolved the issue. And the Ivanti Neurons bots are very easy to set up and have active within your environment. Let's have a look at an Ivanti Neurons bot now. So here we are within the Ivanti Neurons, and we're looking at the bot that was just actioned for the performance issues. And it's got multiple stages. The first thing is we go and look for the high CPU time. What's causing our issues from a high CPU time? And then we have our interaction, which is asking our user that we've identified the issue and would they like us to resolve the issue. And we can answer that as a yes or a no. And we work through and go through the process of modifying the priority and then changing other actions. But if we wanted to edit this or change this, we can at any point in time by dragging actions that are on the left-hand side across into there. So we can add additional messages, we can drag and drop and add content, update those particular actions, perform other actions, or perform other queries that we may want to perform. All of this using a codeless approach to having the Neurons bots available to execute when we want to. In this final scenario, we want to understand our new employees' digital experience and how they're going a month after they've been onboarded. And the way we're going to do that, we have an automation routine, an Ivanti Neurons bot that will run against the users of device after a month to ask some specific questions, to survey them on understanding how do they feel that things are going, give us a rating, and also understand a bit more about what's happening. So as they're working through, on their desktop, they'll get a Microsoft Teams request saying, welcome to Ivanti, and we'd like to run a short survey. Are you okay with running that survey? And we're going to say, yes, we are okay with that. Then we can ask, how are we going? Are we doing badly? Or are we doing well, using a star rating categorization? And maybe we'll put that somewhere in the middle. And then we can ask the question, what type of feedback would we like to give? Is it IT related, HR related, or facilities related? And if it's IT related, we can go into a bit more depth. We can ask, was it device related performance, security related, or is there something else happening? And in this particular case, we're still having some performance issues, not as bad as they were before, but let's say we still have some performance issues. Now what we can do using this bot is we can run that as some further diagnostics to identify what else is happening. What else is happening on your device? And behind the scenes, we start to get that information collected so that we can send that to IT to give them feedback. And we can see here, we've created that incident number and we've automatically created the feedback. Now, part of this survey and gathering of information, understand the user's digital employee experience and their employee experience score as to how we track that. And we look at that within Ivanti Neurons. Now, within the Ivanti Neurons solution, we can start to look at what is my digital employee experience for that employee. And we can see they've got a couple of devices and both are operating quite okay. But our overall digital experience score is okay, but we have some issues in there. And we can drill into that in more detail to see what's happening. We can see whether there's any open incidents that aren't linked to incidents. We can look at what's happening there. So we haven't done a vulnerability scan and we have some application errors, so they could cause us problems. And we can also see what's happening on our particular device that we just executed against. And we can see we have an incident that's been open for a period of time. And all of these give us more detail about what's happening to that person's device. So not only is the survey a means of getting information, but we can automatically identify other issues that might be occurring, and we can see here that we have some negative sentiment occurring for that particular employee. We've been able to identify their digital experience score. In this video, you have been given insight into how Ivanti facilitates a streamlined experience when it comes to onboarding personnel into various departments. With Ivanti, you are able to increase employee productivity through proactive service management and gain knowledge regarding the digital experience of your employees. This ultimately allows you to enhance your employees' experience.